It starts now.
Welcome to Going Wild Outdoors, the channel all about outdoor adventures. This episode's all about the off-grid cabin. Look back at the origins of the cabin, building the new one, sit back, relax, enjoy the show.
Welcome to East Central Saskatchewan and Moldy Manor, my home away from home. This is the original Moldy Manor. We'll talk more about this in just a few moments. And this is the new cabin, Unmoldy, or Moldy 2. We'll show you how it was built coming up. The original Moldy Manor began as a cook shack for a logging company back in the late 1950s. When the logging in the area was done, it was sold to the original owners of Moldy Manor at the end of the 1950s. At that time, a lease was signed with the provincial government to classify it as a recreational cabin. Since the cabin was originally just a cook shack, it was added onto to allow room for 10 bunks. And in 1977, my father started going up there, which is how I got involved. Although at that time, I still wasn't even a twinkle in the eye. I started going up to the cabin in the early 1980s, but I really don't remember any trips until the early 1990s. The first trip I really remember is my first moose hunt in 1992. By the late 2000s, the cabin name of Moldy Manor was really starting to live up to its name. We tried getting some solar panels to help not run the generator so much. By the early 2010s, we decided it's time that maybe we start thinking about building a new cabin. Everybody really loved the old cabin, but it was definitely past its best buy date. So, in 2014, we submitted plans to the provincial government to build a new cabin. It was approved, we started building in 2015. Because they decided they were going to start logging in the area again for the first time since the late 1950s when the cabin was originally built, there were some roads there, made it easier to get some materials in. So the hauling up of materials for the new cabin begins. This is as far as the trucks can go. It's ATVs and sleds the rest of the way. Here we combined two sleighs behind the snowmobile, kind of making like a train so we can haul the longer lumber up to the cabin. The logging roads went part of the way, but not all the way. We got some oddball size 3 foot by 6 foot OSB to use for the cabin. The lumber is getting stacked in the yard near where the new cabin will be built. Here's the back door for the cabin, making the 6-mile or 10-kilometer ride into the bush. It's a great day. As you can see, I'm very happy. A photo from behind the old cabin where the new cabin will stand. All loaded up for the 10-kilometer trek into the cabin. Let the construction begin. There's my dad once again on his favorite toy, playing on the John Deere. Digging out a route right here. He already has the area all leveled. Here's the beam for under the cabin, made out of 2x12s laminated together. The cabin floor starting to come together. The cabin floor all ready for the insulation to be dropped in. Quite a bit of progress has been made on the floor. It's been insulated, vapor barriered, and sheeted. Well, I know you're all wondering what the tuck tape on the floor is all about. Well, there's rain on the way, and we didn't want the insulation to get wet. A couple of walls all ready to be stood up. The walls are up, now it's time to get them sheeted. Once again, the rain is coming, so we wanted a nice dry place to work. All the rafters were home built, or cabin built, right inside the cabin. We built a jig inside and built them there. The rafters are going up. It's starting to look like a cabin. The rafters are up, but there's more rain on the way, so we need to protect the inside again. Getting the roof ladders on so we have a nice overhang for sitting on the deck. Melissa checking on the cabin after a storm came through. Roof is on and windows are in. It's starting to take shape. Time to haul up the insulation for the roof and for the walls. The insulation is going up. It's going to be nice and toasty in there. It's getting close to being usable. Soon we'll be out of the old cabin. Little bit of a mishap as one of the new windows were broke when the ladder broke. Thankfully nobody was injured. Here we're getting the bunk beds built and framing the interior walls. The cabin sleeps 10 people, has 2 bedrooms with 3 bunks in one room and 2 in the other. There's one large main living area and then a front cooking area. The interior is all sheeted with OSB to give it a nice cabin feel. Time to haul up the new mattresses, 10 of them. And now it's time to get the stoves installed so we can finally start living in the new cabin. The Valley Comfort stove for the main living area and then a nice old cook stove for cooking on. The cabin is finally usable. Look at that amazing cabin. Even some solar power. Nothing better than some wood heat on a cold winter day. some nice tin siding to help protect it from the elements. No cabin is complete without a big front deck. Cooking on the open fire after a long day of deck building and solar panel straightening. There was no electricity in the bush, and instead of listening to a generator run all the time, we decided to install a solar system. The system consists of 15 solar panels, 4 batteries, and 5 charge controllers. It also runs all our security system up in the bush. In the back you can see our little indoor shower room for after a long week in the bush. A little tour of the completed interior. The solar panels are covered in snow. The sun will melt it off shortly. Here are our charge controllers. The one on the right is currently not in use. Just don't mind the mess. One of these days, when I get a chance, I'll get the wires cleaned up. Here's our 2500 watt pure sine wave inverter. The batteries are located outside underneath the cabin. This is a fan that pumps hot air into the box to keep them warm. Here we're hauling up some more lumber. We're going to build ourselves a walk-in cooler at the off-grid cabin. For the floor we use some treated 2x8s, and the walls we use 2x6s. We put R20 in the floor, ceiling, and walls. We only needed to build 3 walls for this structure. As a 4th wall we use the old cabin. On the inside we use this foil backed insulation to add some waterproofing and add some extra R value. For the rails, we use some heavy-duty barn door hangers. For cooling the unit, we use a 5000 BTU window air conditioner with some controls, which I'll give you a link in the description box below. On the floor, we use some puck board to make it easy to clean up and to be waterproof. Just fired up the air conditioner. With 23 degrees outside, I believe it's 21 degrees inside the cooler. We'll see how long it takes to cool off. It was 21 in there about 10 minutes ago. Now we're at 10.4. Beautiful. It takes about 20-25 minutes for us to get it down to about 4 degrees Celsius inside the cooler usually. So we have the cabin on these adjustable feet here just so if, when it sinks we can raise and lower it just to keep the cabin level. So that's our underneath our deck there. Some extra wood and stuff. We got our batteries for our solar are in a box underneath here. So it's all tin siding, nice and weatherproof. The windows came out in an old condo complex, so that's all recycled. All the eavesdrops are all recycled. So it's new to us, but it's definitely not new. You can see the back of all the solar panels. I think there's 15 of them up there. There are 2 chimney stacks. We've got some wood, needs to be split here later on. That split is going to have to get piled over there later once the snow actually melts. This is kind of our backyard area. You can see all this was some of the bush that's right behind us because we're in the middle of the Porcupine Provincial Forest. It's early May, leaves aren't out yet. They should be coming out soon. It's a beautiful day. We'll see tonight, there's supposed to be some good meteor showers tonight, so we'll check that out later on. This is where all the important business happens. Perfect view. Deer found the bales. Or moose. Or elk. Here we're doing a little bit of maintenance on the solar batteries. Checking the specific gravity of the batteries, and then filling them up with some distilled water. Here we're just putting on some old X90 siding onto our cooler shack.
Hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you enjoyed the episode, leave us a like, subscribe to our channel, leave a comment down below. You can check us out at www.goingwildoutdoors.com. Remember, get outdoors. The adventures are endless.